Yeah.
This is Akashvani. In the program Insights, now we bring you a discussion on National Games 2023, celebration of India's exceptional sporting prowess. The participants are G. Rajaraman, sports analyst, and Omvesh Upadhyay, anchor.
Today marks the concluding day of 37th National Games 2023. The grand sports event began on 25th of October, and in the past few weeks over 10,000 athletes were competing across 43 sports, which includes traditional Olympic disciplines as well as indigenous sports like Malakhamb, Kho-Kho and Kabaddi, among others. In this year's National Games, Maharashtra topped the medal tally with 200 plus medals, followed by Services and Haryana in top 3 ranks. And today, to discuss more on the National Games, we are joined by senior sports journalist G. Rajaraman. Welcome to the program, Raj.
Thank you so much, Omvesh.
So now, to begin the discussion, I would like to get your views on how successful was the 37th National Games of India. Not to forget that this year we saw participation of around 10,000 athletes, which is 3,000 more than the previous edition in Gujarat. So Raj, how significant are games like these in promoting sports and fostering a sense of national unity? And if you share an overview with our listeners, how successful was this year's National Games?
Umesh, first and foremost, this was a huge national game. Even though it was held when the Cricket World Cup is on, it did get lots of television coverage. People are interested in how athletes have performed in the national games. It also came immediately after the Asian Games and the Asian Para Games. So there was not much time. There was only a month between the Asian Games and the National Games. So there were a lot of people who had doubts if the National Games would succeed in drawing out the best performance. I think those doubts were put to rest by the 10,000 plus athletes who took part in 43 disciplines in the National Games in Goa. The National Games in Goa have been long overdue. So it is a huge relief that they were able to get together the infrastructure in place, have the logistics in place, and Goa was able to host a very, very successful game. It is the largest in the history of India. In all the 39 editions, this has been the largest in terms of number of medals given out. Just look at how many medals Maharashtra alone has picked up. It has got 80 gold medals, 69 silver and 79 bronze as we are talking, for a total of 228. That is massive. This National Games is perhaps, in terms of size, it is bigger than the Olympic Games because number of disciplines and number of athletes both outnumber the Olympic Games and the Asian Games. I think we should also remember that it's not just 10,000 athletes. There would have been at least about 5,000 officials who helped conduct the games. And I'm talking only about the judges, referees and linesmen and the rest of them. I think it is very important for us to understand that national games are a very important vehicle in the journey of an athlete. Let's take, for example, an athlete like Veer Dhaval Khade, a swimmer from Maharashtra, who is an Asian Games medalist from some years ago. He continues to swim for Maharashtra primarily because he wants to add to the medal tally of Maharashtra. That is the kind of motivation 30 plus athletes, I'm talking about the age here, athletes who are 30 plus have got the motivation to come out and perform. The youngsters, there is, for example, a 14-year-old girl from Karnataka, Diniji Desingu, who picked up 7 gold medals in all, 2 individual medals and 5 in relay. So when you have this whole range of people, teenagers to 30 plus athletes who are doing really well, and there was Seema Punia at 40, a discus thrower from Uttar Pradesh who competed and got gold. When you see the range in terms of age, in terms of diversity, then national games bring people together. Different states, different union territories, different sport, there is one platform on which they all come together, and it is the national game. And I know many athletes, especially in swimming, who are desperately keen to perform well at the national game because they get more mileage, more publicity when they do well for their states in the national games than when they do the same in a national championship. So there is a lot of interest. There's great awareness that national games are on, and states have got intense competition. Maharashtra this time has done really well. It did well when Gujarat hosted the games as well. Haryana has been in the forefront for long. Madhya Pradesh is coming along very nicely. So the competition is hotting up. I think it is only good for Indian sport that we've got the national games even next year in Uttarakhand. I think athletes are looking forward to it. The only complaint some of them have is about the scheduling. whether it fits into their international program or not. Maybe the Indian Olympic Association will have to consider this at some point of time and reduce the burden on a state by hosting multiple national games in terms of splitting it into two different segments, with some events being held at a particular time of the year and other events being held at a particular time of the year.
And in the last few weeks, Raj, we have watched several stellar and record-breaking performances. But for our listeners, can you please talk about some of the standout performances in the national games?
There are a number of wonderful athletes who have surfaced. Take athletics, for example. With many of the leading lights staying away, there is an opportunity for younger athletes to win gold, silver, and bronze medals. But when we look at the best performance, it has come from swimming. There were national records there. There were people who won 10 gold medals. This was Srihari Nataraj from Karnataka, who got 10 gold medals, including 5 of his own as individual and 5 in the relay. There was Sajan Prakash, who was pushing 30 years of age, who picked up 9 individual medals. A phenomenal performance from Sajan Prakash with 2 national records as well. Among the women, there was Dinidhi Singh, who picked up 7 medals, and there was Neena Venkatesh, who got 6. Delhi's own Bhavya Sachdeva picked up 3 gold medals and perhaps will be named as the best athlete of the game. Swimming, because they're allowed to compete in multiple events, you will get to hear more about the swimmers doing really well. But across the 43 disciplines, there have been good performances, be it fencing, be it boxing, be it wrestling, be it weightlifting, or be it badminton, where youngsters got a chance to display their wares. I think across sport, there have been many new faces which have surfaced, and some established ones who have done really well for themselves. But if you ask me to pick the 2 best athletes, there is Srihari Nataraj, who will walk away with the men's best athlete award, and Dinidhi Desingu of Karnataka, who got the 7 gold medals as a very raw talent, as somebody who's just 14 years of age.
And here I would also like to talk about an unique aspect. So Raj, can we say that through national games, we are witnessing a boom in otherwise ignored sports like square martial arts, roll ball, sepak takraw, kalyarapattu, pancake silat and mini golf, which were added to the national games sports program this year, and more youngsters are showing their potential in this?
There is no doubt that more the merrier. I think that is what the saying says. But with a lot of sport, take Penchak Silat, for example, we compete in the Asian Games. So it was important for them to be competing in the national games as well. Sepak Takraw has always won medals for India in the Asian Games. And it was very important for Sepak Takraw to feature in the national games program as well. So these are 2 very good additions, I would say. Lots of traditional sports have been introduced at different times in the national games. It is important. Olympic Association has done really well to include some sport which are not part of Olympic program or even Asian Games program to be part of the national game. I think it allows them the chance to experience multidiscipline games and the challenge of competing alongside many other well-known athletes. I think it's important that India always includes our own traditional sport, indigenous sport, so that we end up allowing them to mix with people who have got the Asian Games, Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games experience, so that they can all learn, and always shared learning is best for everybody.
And Raj, looking at the fierce performance of Indian athletes in national games, it's evident that they received and did a hard work on their training. In this regard, how do you access India's investments in sports infrastructure and facilities to support the training and development of athletes at various levels, and not to forget that how initiatives like Khelo India developed sports infrastructure in rural India?
Omvesh, I think it's very important for us to understand that without the central government support, India's Olympic sport is not going to flourish. It is very important for everybody to understand how much money is being spent on Indian sport by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports on our elite athletes. But it is up to the state governments to start supporting sport at the grassroots level. And that is why national games across different states and union territories becomes important, because the national games allows for the development of a lot of infrastructure. And if we don't use this infrastructure in the future and don't create a legacy, then there is some trouble. I think it is important that every state that hosts the national game goes on to support grassroots sport, use the facilities really well to ensure that their own states develop and become better in terms of competing at the national games. It should not always be about Maharashtra and Haryana having a fight for the top 2 places, along with services which fields only a men's team. I think it is crucial that every state that has ever hosted a national game and has built infrastructure worth crores of rupees goes on to support sport at the grassroots level and understand that it has got a role to play in creating a good assembly line of champions so that India can be higher in the Olympic ranking than it is at the moment. Take, for example, Tokyo 2020. India finished with 7 medals and finished 48 in the ranking on the medal chart. It was important for India to get those 4 gold medals to rise to the top 20. And it is possible. But it's one of the biggest factors is the fact that there are not too many states which are investing in sport. Odisha has been a good example. Madhya Pradesh has been a good example. Traditionally, we have always seen Haryana has been a great support. Punjab used to be supporting sport for a long time. Bengal used to be in the forefront. Tamil Nadu and Karnataka used to be strong, as was Kerala. I think it's important that every state feels a responsibility towards creating a beautiful assembly line of young champions who can go on to conquer the world. The central government does a fabulous job of having Khelo India scheme where young athletes, more than 3,000 athletes, get fantastic support in the beginning of their career. Worth 6 lakh rupees a year for each of these athletes. It is a lot of money for young athletes, including 10,000 rupees a month as pocket allowance. They're able to get good training facilities, good competition across the country and outside. So therefore, Khelo India as a concept has succeeded in creating a good bench strength for the existing elite athletes in the country.
Raj, to get the best out of these athletes, how significant are the recognition programs in place to reward exceptional athletes and motivate them to excel in their respective sports? I'm also talking about the financial aid that the athletes get before training, while training, and also after their performances from the central or state government. You must have heard about these headlines and the amount they get if they perform well.
Yes, Omvesh. I think it is interesting that state governments support athletes who do really well at the national games. For example, Kerala or Maharashtra or even Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, they have promised fairly good amounts of money for each medal that an athlete wins for their state. I think it is important though that they spend similar amounts of money in promoting grassroots sport. The problem in India is that with the government of India supporting 3,000 young athletes, you need to enhance that to 30,000 plus athletes. Why not 3 lakh athletes? It is therefore the role of the state government, good athletes in rewarding successful athletes at the national games and at the national championship level is praiseworthy. I would really like to see them invest a lot more in developing a good bench strength for their own state teams across disciplines.
And as we are entering the concluding stage of our program, I would like to get a very brief view of your on Prime Minister talking about how this year's sport budget is 3 times more than the sports budget 9 years ago. Then he also talked that how international achievements like Neeraj Chopra winning a gold in Olympics inspire youngsters in India. Keeping all that in mind, how do you see India's rise in sports field?
Every time I speak to a young athlete or an old athlete, somebody who has done really well for India, the standard response is, our Prime Minister looks after us really well. He talks to us before we leave for a major competition and he talks to us after we come back from a major competition, and they find it very inspiring. Much more than the support that the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports is giving them through the ACTC program or the TOPS program, the fact that the Prime Minister has got personal interest in each of them motivate them no end. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons why you are able to get such good results in the Asian Games, in the Commonwealth Games, and even the Olympic Games last time. Absolutely. Each time we have sent out a team for the multidiscipline sport, it has come back with successful results, with the best possible results, not just in terms of that edition, but also when you look back in time, you know that India is constantly raising the bar. As a nation, we are becoming a better sports nation. We are becoming a more sports aware nation thanks to the initiatives launched by the Prime Minister.
Indeed. On that note, we conclude the program. Thank you so much, Raj, for joining us on Akashvani.
Thank you so much for having me, Omvesh.
You were listening to a discussion on National Games 2023, celebration of India's exceptional sporting prowess. The participants were G. Rajaraman, sports analyst, and Omvesh Upadhyay, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on a mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official.